What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warrant Report. Just as I'm getting ready to record a video, we get some news surrounding the Toronto Raptors. NBA Central tweeted out that Cleveland, Phoenix, and Toronto had been circulating as teams that had trade interest in Kelly Oubre Jr. We also got some news yesterday that the Raptors could look to package Chris Boucher as a blockbuster trade during the NBA trade deadline, and the Raptors also signed a G League sniper to a 10-day contract. So I'm going to be breaking all of this news for you guys today. So if you're ready to watch this video, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click on it. If you want to hit the like button as well, that'd be very much appreciated. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to Darshan Siva. So Darshan, thank you so much for supporting this channel. To your likes and comments, it is very much appreciated. Now let's break that article down for you guys. And I don't know if you noticed a key word, but I will read this article for you. It said Cleveland, Phoenix, and Toronto had, again, keyword had, been circulating as teams that had trade interest in the Hornets' Kelly Oubre Jr. until Oubre was forced to undergo left-hand surgery this week, expected to sideline him for 4 to 6 weeks, wrote NBA insider Mark Stein, who obviously is very well known around the NBA as a good reporter. Now, again, this would not be surprising given the fact that Toronto was one of those teams that desperately needed scoring. I don't know if the plan was to bring Kelly Oubre Jr. off of the bench, given the Raptors' lack of depth at the small forward shooting guard position, or if they were perhaps looking to start him, which would have maybe complicated things a little bit more. But taking a look at Kelly Oubre's statistics here, you'll notice he'd fit in with the Raptors' 6'8", 6'9" vision a little bit better. He's listed at 6'7", 203 pounds. He's 27 years old, so he kind of fits into the timeline there. And you take a look at his statistics, 20.2 points, 5.1 rebounds, 1.2 assists isn't too shabby at all. The one thing I do want to emphasize regarding statistics is important to look at the entire stat category, not just the points, rebounds, assists. He is also averaging over a steal a game, but the thing is he was shooting 42.1% field goal percentage from the field, also hitting only 30.8% of his threes and shooting 71.4% of his free throws. Now, how much of that was contributed to his hand injury, we don't really know, but that is not something exactly the Raptors needed. Let's be honest, the Raptors are struggling to shoot the three. A lot of their starters are struggling to hit their shots overall, their field goal percentage. We know all about that. So I don't know how Kelly Oubre would have fit in. And another thing to take into consideration before we just look at statistics like 20.2 points per game is something like his usage rate. So you look at the bottom where it says 2022-2023 season, his usage rate was also 26 point high. It was incredibly high. In fact, it was so high when you compare it to the Toronto Raptors, it's actually higher than Pascal Siakam, who's the leading scorer for the Toronto Raptors. So again, not only that, but you also have to take into consideration things like his defensive win shares, offensive win shares. I know he's been on historically really bad teams, Washington Wizards. I mean, the Golden State Warriors, I believe, correct me if I was wrong, that was the year they missed the playoffs. And of course, the Charlotte Hornets as well. Again, same thing, defensive box plus minus, offensive box plus minus. You have to look at stats like that. It could be very telling about a player and overall, but let's also take a look at his contract situations, because if the Raptors were to trade for him, we need to get about $12.6 million in that trade. And that wouldn't be too hard given the fact that the Raptors do have a few players in that. But also, again, you need to take into consideration that if the Raptors were to trade for him, he's also another player heading into free agency, which is the last thing the Toronto Raptors need, because we know Gary and Fred are going to opt out of the deals and look for bigger deals. But let's talk about Chris Boucher now, because this was being reported just before the game yesterday. Chris Boucher is expected to be moved in any blockbuster trade at the deadline, reported by Michael Scotto. Now, as soon as I was actually going to record this video, but then we heard about Kelly Oubre Jr., and I thought maybe it could be a trade that the Raptors wanted to do. Again, it does say blockbuster, so it wouldn't exactly be blockbuster trading Chris Boucher for Kelly Oubre, although Kelly would be a good addition to this team. But you do need to note that Chris Boucher is a power forward. The Raptors have way too many of those guys. They have Pascal Siakam, they have Scotty Barnes, with Precious Achiuwa coming back. I mean, they have a lot of guys that can play that position. So personally, I've been saying this for a while. Unfortunately, I really like Chris Boucher's energy, but it's just I shouldn't say high IQ. I should say the lack of IQ really hurts the team sometimes. And honestly, moving forward, as Precious continues to grow, you can honestly give Precious the minutes that Chris Boucher will be playing and use Chris Boucher in a trade to acquire some guard depth. Obviously, the Raptors need that, but given the way the Raptors have been playing, are they really still expected to make a blockbuster trade? That's all I'll say. But in terms of his contract, it's always good to have a player on the team that makes a decent amount of money like this. I felt like the Raptors paid a little bit too much money in terms of what he really deserved. Let's be honest. Chris Boucher had a struggling first half of the season last year, and then second half of the season, he really turned it around. But the Raptors obviously signed him to the contract they did for a reason. Because last year, when the Raptors were trying to make trades, they had essentially no one outside of their starting unit that made a lot of money, which made it really hard to trade for guys making more money like all-star players. So again, if the Raptors do look to move on from someone like a Gary Trent Jr., who's making $18 million, you all of a sudden throw in Chris Boucher, you can throw in maybe one more player. That's about $32 million. So again, it makes it a little bit easier to trade for different guys for all-stars. So again, I don't know what the Raptors' plan is. It will be determined over the next few games. Next 3-4 games, I believe, if they continue to lose, the Raptors will be tanking. If they go on a crazy winning streak, 4 or 5 game winning streak, all of a sudden they're back in the playoff picture. So that's all I'll say regarding that. But we do have some more news to talk to you about, and that is that the Toronto Raptors signed a G League sniper in the name of Joe Wieskamp. I might be mispronouncing his name, but taking a look at his G League statistics here, you see he's upped his point production in a whole season, and he's also a really good three-point shooter, which is something the Raptors need. Now, I do want to emphasize on this, guys. I don't want to become one of those guys. I've done this in the past. I'm guilty of it. Raptors find another hidden gem. Look, let's be honest. He's a 10-day contract. He's 23 years old. He's someone who's, probably not going to get a lot of minutes if we're being completely honest. I don't want to hype this signing up too much. It is a 10-day contract, and I don't mean to sound negative, but given the way the Raptors season has gone, it's very realistic that Joe is probably not going to be re-signed a lot. And not only that, but I just don't see him getting maybe more than 5 minutes in the entire 10 days that he will be here. It's most likely they sign him for insurance purposes in case of injuries and also practices as well. But taking obviously a look at his statistics here, you can see he's a sniper. Again, it's different. I'm not trying to be super negative about this signing. It's good that we signed someone who can shoot. The Raptors clearly need some shooters, but the likelihood of him seeing minutes is very rare. But you see he's shot 36.3% last year, and this season he's shooting 40.6% from the three-point line on 6.3 attempts, which isn't bad. Again, 17 points, 5.9 rebounds, 1.1 steal a game. Nearly a block a game isn't too bad. This is 11 game, 28 minutes. This is not too shabby at all for Joe. But again, look, giving you guys a little bit of information regarding him, what position he plays. He's a small forward shooting guard position with the Raptors need. He's 23 years old, as I mentioned. So again, maybe he plays well in practice, maybe if the Raptors see something in him, he could become a decent role player with the Raptors moving forward. That is if, again, he gets playing time, if he plays well in practice, a lot of those things. He's listed at 6'6", which is good because you need tall shooters. And so rather than guys, with all due respect to Matt Thomas, those kind of guys, unfortunately, just are very hard to have on your roster in today's NBA again, especially if you're not doing anything besides shooting as well. And then he weighs about 210 pounds. His wingspan is 6'11", which is good. Again, I've seen highlights of him, and he's a pretty interesting player. He's not, again, I don't want to compare him to Matt Thomas. He's not one of those players that just shoots threes and doesn't do anything else. He's actually pretty engaged in the game. He passes the ball. He can attack the basket as well. He's a decent player when attacking the basket. He can occasionally go, pretend like he's going to attack the basket and pass it off to another player. So again, the realistically likelihood of him getting any minutes is very unlikely. This is just someone to sign to a 10-day contract. They found interesting. They signed him. So let's see what happens. This will be interesting to see what the Raptors do with him if they bring him back. Again, we'll see what happens. The Raptors season has been an absolute chaos. We'll see what happens as we approach closer to the trade deadline. But I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about all these rumors, especially ones regarding Chris Boucher. It's very unlikely that we trade for Kelly Oubre now, given his hand injury, but Chris Boucher could be part of a blockbuster deal. I don't know about that. Most likely he'll be moved for younger pieces, guard depth maybe perhaps, but I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section, and let's get to that trivia question. Who is the leading scorer in the NBA G League? I know it's the G League. We're talking about it because we signed a G League sniper. Is it A. Delano Banton? Is it B. Scoot Henderson, which everyone seems super excited about? Could it be Grant Riller? Is it D. Kai Jones? So whichever is the right answer, make sure to write it down below in the comment section, and that will be it for today's video, guys. So if you're still watching, guys, I truly appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support. Make sure to hit the subscribe button as well, and I wish you guys a great day.